This meeting of the Wendell Town Board of Commissioners, and welcome everyone who's watching on Facebook or is called in and listening. Tonight we're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Police Chief Bill Carter.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Chief. Our invocation tonight from the Wendell Council of Churches, we're going to be hearing from Hephzibah Baptist Church, Pastor Nathan Miller.
Pastor Miller, you're unmuted.
Well, good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to go to the Lord in prayer with you. Heavenly Father, we're so grateful just for the opportunity to be able to gather tonight, Lord, as a town, and to be able to discuss just important matters, Lord, that concerns us locally, Lord, and as just this troubling days, Lord, that we find ourselves in, Lord, with all that's been going on within our country, Lord, and even within the world with COVID-19 that's been breaking out, Lord, I ask that you continue to be with our local leaders, Lord, our county leaders, our state, and our federal governments, Lord, as they begin to make decisions, Lord, for how we're to continue to operate. So, Lord, I'm so grateful for our town and for the leadership that you've given to us, and for the public servants, Lord, that you've given to us. And so, Lord, as we meet tonight, Lord, to discuss important matters, Lord, I've asked that you just give them wisdom and direct our conversation. Lord, thank you so much for all that you've given to us. It's in your great name that we pray. Amen.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
All right, we have a motion to approve the agenda. Is there discussion on the motion? All right, Commissioner Joyner.
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach.
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz.
Aye.
Commissioner Tarnasky.
Aye.
And Commissioner Boyette.
Aye.
All right. We have no one signed up for public comment period. We'll move to our consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
All right, is there any discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor? Commissioner Joyner.
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach.
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz.
Aye.
Commissioner Tarnasky.
Aye.
And Commissioner Boyette.
Aye.
All right, thank you. We're going to move into now Section 4, our recognitions, reports, and presentations. And the first one we're going to hear, item 4A, is a presentation on the stormwater gap analysis study, and we're going to hear first from Public Works Director Brian Bray.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Town Board. It's certainly good to see everyone again after the past few months of not being in here. Withers Ravenel is here with us remotely tonight. They were commissioned by the town to conduct a stormwater gap analysis, which will identify many things that they will get into shortly. As many of you may know, the town of Wendell has a fledgling stormwater program that we put considerable effort into over the last year and a half. And we're proud of having taken a step in the right direction. We've made quite a few improvements, but there's a lot more work to do. Shortly, you'll hear the gap analysis results, which will help identify what we're doing successfully, what we need to improve upon, what is missing, and what will be required to get us ready for the upcoming stormwater audit in 2022. Excuse me. As always, the Public Works Department appreciates your support, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have before or after the report by the Withers Ravenel folks. Tonight, Vice President and Director of Stormwater for Withers, Lars Hagen, is here, if we can unmute him. He also has at least one member of his team who will be presenting as well. Lars, Katie, and Catherine have all been a great help to us, and we're all looking forward to their presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lars and Katie, you've been unmuted.
Hello, this is Lars. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Well, good evening, Madam Mayor and Town Board and residents of the town of Wendell. My name is Lars Hagen, and I am the Stormwater Director at Withers Ravenel. We thank you for the opportunity to speak virtually tonight and appreciate the hard work that Wendell staff has done from a technical standpoint to pull together the virtual meeting and our presentation. Presentations being shown at Town Hall, and I am not at the town because of the social distancing requirements. So I'm going to indicate just when to advance slides. I'll refer to the page numbers in the bottom right-hand corner. And so with that, we're ready to begin, and please advance to slide 2. So again, my name is Lars Hagen. I'm the Stormwater Director. I'm also joined on the call by Katie Belaze and Catherine Knight. Katie and Catherine are two very talented and very important members of the Stormwater Department, and together they performed much of the work and analysis that we'll be reviewing tonight. Katie will be helping to present some of our findings in a few minutes. And please advance to slide 3. So a quick overview of Withers Ravenel. I'm not going to read everything on this slide, but there are a few things I want to mention. First of all, we're an engineering consulting firm, and we have a very broad range of services. Our engineering services, including stormwater, transportation, but also to our planning, environmental, and funding, and asset management, and many other things. One thing I do want to draw your attention to on this slide that I'm really most proud of as a company is the second bullet from the bottom where it says we're 100% employee owned. That's not just two shareholders, but that's, all employees become owners, and that's a big deal. It's very important to our company culture, how we support each other and think of each other as part owners. Please advance to the next slide. So a quick overview of what you can expect in tonight's presentation. The first item will be a little bit of information about Wendell's MS4 Phase 2 permit and some of the requirements there. MS4 is just an abbreviation for Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System. The second item is where Katie's going to help out and go over the gap analysis results and how well Wendell is meeting those results, or meeting the requirements of the permit. And then the third item will be looking forward. How do we recommend that Wendell moves on to the next phase? Please advance to slide 5. So why do we have stormwater rules, and why does Wendell need a stormwater program? And what is a Phase 2 permit? Well, it starts really with the birth of the EPA. If you look at the picture on the left, that's a picture of the Cuyahoga River in Ohio, which was one of the most polluted rivers in the United States. The water was so polluted, in fact, that it would catch fire. There were at least 13 fires on the Cuyahoga River, and this is a famous picture from 1969 that made Time Magazine and caught the nation's attention. We didn't like our rivers catching fire, and so the EPA was established by executive order in late 1970. Soon after, in 1972, the Clean Water Act was passed, and the Clean Water Act established the NPDES, or National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, or more basically, preventing pollution. Please advance to slide 6. And through the NPDES, the rules and regulations were established for communities of certain sizes. Wendell is categorized as a small MS4. If you look on the right, there's kind of a graphic that shows how these regulations are enforced. So we talked previously that it begins with the EPA. So EPA looks to the state of North Carolina to enforce the rules, and then the state, in turn, looks to all of the MS4s, including Wendell, to implement and abide by these regulations. So, Wendell did not choose to go into this program. These are laws that Wendell has to follow. Please advance to slide 7. And this NPDES program has teeth. This section is straight out of the Federal Water Pollution Control Act. States that a person who negligently violates shall be punished by up to $25,000 per day, and the fines are steeper for knowing violation. So MS4 communities cannot decide whether or not they want to comply or pick and choose which pieces of the regulations they will choose or to meet or not to meet. They have to meet them all. And communities can't wait for the state to come in and audit and tell them what they need to do. The state has recently said that, waiting for your audit can be considered, quote, willful noncompliance and can be penalized as such. Please advance to slide 8. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Katie Blade so she can give you a little more detail about the NPDES program requirements and the gap analysis results.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. So to meet the requirements of the NPDES permit, there are 6 minimum measures that are identified by the EPA that have to be addressed. So I won't describe each of these, but they make up the majority of the tasks that are incorporated into a stormwater management plan that will be developed by the town and okayed by the state to prevent pollution and be in compliance with the permit. So next slide 9, please. The state is now performing audits of each town and city stormwater program on a 5-year cycle, which is the length of the permit. So every 5 years, the state will audit Wendell to make sure you're meeting your permit requirements and performing the items you've identified as best management practices in your stormwater management plan. Wendell's audit is currently scheduled for 2022. And the DEQ has posted results of their audits to date on their website, and they've indicated in industry meetings that these results aren't great. So they've completed 30 audits to date, and only 3 have been found compliant. 3 were found to be deficient, and 24 programs received violations. So a violation means their programs were substantially non-compliant. Next slide 10, please. So we performed a pre-audit gap analysis of Wendell's stormwater program compared to the requirements in the permit to give Wendell an idea of how to move forward towards compliance. So the rest of the presentation will discuss the highlights and areas for improvement that we identified in the analysis. Next slide 11, please. One program highlight is that Wendell has performed some trainings for municipal employees. And we'll need to continue these trainings and expand this program to cover all required topics, including spill response, hotline training, and stormwater control measure inspection. Next slide 12, please. Another program highlight is that Wendell, in conjunction with the Clean Water Education Partnership and local volunteers, has been conducting educational outreach. This program should be continued and documented. Next slide 13, please. So the town does a great job documenting work orders and maintenance of their storm sewer systems. Before the audit, the town will need to document all aspects of the program as well as maintenance. So next slide 14, please. So we have identified 2 critical areas that will need to be addressed for program compliance because they will require the most work. So one is the illicit discharge detection and elimination minimum measure. And for that, the town will need a complete map of their storm sewer system and before other work on this measure can be completed. So you'll need to know where to look before you can start inspections. On this map, major outfalls will need to be identified before standard operating procedures, documentation, and proactive inspections can occur. Next slide 15, please. Another critical component is good housekeeping for municipal operations. Inspections and maintenance programs for each municipal-owned property, which includes buildings and parks and stormwater control measures, should be developed, and inspections of areas with polluting materials should be performed and documented. Next slide, 16, please. Our goal is to get to permit compliance. So while we spoke about the major areas of improvement, there are many more smaller permit items that need to be addressed as well. Next slide, 17, please. Some of these other items that will be required for a compliant program are identified here. I won't go through them all because they're fully explained in the gap analysis. But most concern developing standard operating procedures, performing inspections, and documentation. So now transitioning to slide 18, I will turn it back to Lars.
Thank you, Katie. And so we've just seen the highlights of the assessment, and now we're going to talk briefly about what's next. So the good news is Wendell staff and leadership have already begun taking the steps towards compliance, but we're not done yet. Please advance to slide 19. So Wendell's audit is coming up in 2022. The image on the left is from the state's audit template, and the very first question that the auditor is going to ask is, does Wendell have adequate funding and staffing? So we want our answer to be yes, and then we want to be able to show the supporting documentation. But today it would be very hard for Wendell to answer this question with a yes. Please advance to slide 20. And so we recommend that Wendell begin an overall budget analysis. We've identified the gaps, but what are the resources required to fill in the gaps? Wendell has started the work, but it'll take more. I also have a bullet for a utility rate study. Once we know the resources that are required, we can begin to look at what it will take over the years to meet the requirements. And we need to be careful about comparing to our neighbors' utility rates. Katie just told you that 27 out of the first 30 MS4s were non-compliant. So when we're looking at our neighbors to see what their rates are, chances are that we may not be comparing to a compliant program. Please advance to slide 21. So what we had for you tonight, we tried to keep it kind of, high level and not too long. Didn't want to take a bunch of your time, but I'd like to open it up if y'all had any questions.
Anyone from the board? Commissioner Joyner.
Thank you. This is Commissioner Joyner. Your last comment on the staffing checkbox was that we couldn't make that assessment at this time. Is that because we don't know how big the system is and where it goes, and ultimately won't know the number of staff required to take care of it once we figure it all out? Or is that just we feel like at this very moment we can't answer that question internally? So I guess my question is, is this a problem we can answer and address now, or is this a problem that we're not going to know until you guys finish the study?
I'm sorry, the audio, I didn't catch all of that. I think that was a question about funding and answering the question about adequate funding and staffing.
Lars, this is Mark. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. The question from the commissioner was, is completing the map and determining where the infrastructure is located, will that tell us what staffing and resources we need to allocate and get us to yes?
The short answer is that's not, no. There's more, that's a piece of the puzzle, I guess is the way to say it. You need to finish the mapping, but there's a lot of other items, the SOP development, inspections, there's a number of other items all identified in the gap analysis, and so that's just one component, the map. There's a lot of other items that would need to get taken care of as well. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I was just trying to figure out where we could expect that staffing portion to ultimately fall into budgets.
So if the board recalls in the budget just adopted that starts July 1st, I mean, right now we're actively recruiting for a stormwater program manager. That's staff that's going to be dedicated to this program and work with other public works staff to work towards implementation, and our contract engineer. Withers Ravenel is an engineer of record for the town, and we bring them in on different task service agreements as needed. There's also contract engineering funds allocated for FY21, and that'll be for Withers Ravenel to continue the work of finishing the mapping, identify then how do we maintain what's needed and what staffing, equipment, and funding over time would be necessary. That'll help us with probably one of the challenges in next year's budget, so that we're able to answer that question going into the audit in FY22.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the board?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Lars and team.
Hey, we appreciate the opportunity to speak to you all tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, item number 5, we have no public hearings tonight, so we're going to move into our administrative items. Item 6A is appointment appointments to the Town of Wendell Board of Adjustment.
Don't do it. See him getting it back in. John wanted to put his headphones back in.
Just in case no one could understand, are we back going? We're going to move to item 6A, which is appointments to the Town of Wendell Board of Adjustment and Appearance Commission. We're going to get some ballots from Town Clerk Megan Howard.
Oh, okay. Thanks. All right, thank you. Okay, here we are again. Thank you, Council, for taking the time to make these appointments today. As was said last time, recruitment for the Town of Wendell Citizen Advisory Boards began in February 2020 and closed at the end of April. Communication efforts included advertising posted on the town's website, on the calendar, the news feed, our events page, and citizen advisory board pages. We also included an e-board post on Wendell Boulevard, social media marketing, among other things, including a PSA video posted online and advertising posted in the town's newsletter when in the Dell. The Citizen Advisory Board recruitment process was adjusted to provide for safe social distancing due to COVID-19. Staff requested on Tuesday, May 12th, that the Town Board of Commissioners review the applications sent via email for the Board of Adjustment and the Appearance Commission and follow up with applicants on any questions concerning their application. As it stands, the Appearance Commission has 3 vacancies with terms lasting for 3 years. The Board of Adjustment has 4 vacancies, including 3 in-town vacancies with terms lasting for 3 years, and 1 extraterritorial jurisdiction, or ETJ, vacancy with a term also lasting for 3 years. The upcoming Citizen Advisory Boards will be filled at the upcoming Town of Wendell Town Board of Commissioners meeting. On June 22nd, the Parks and Recreation Commission and the Tree Board will be filled. The same process will be used as for the appointments considered at this meeting. I will inquire with applicants that are not appointed at tonight's meeting to see if they would like to be considered on the Parks and Rec Commission and the Tree Board. And with that, I'm going to start with the in-town 3-year Board of Adjustment ballots. Okay, we have appointments for the following individuals for the Board of Adjustment in-town vacancies, including Benny Collins, John H. Boyette, and Terry L. Moore. Okay. Now I'm going to pass out the ballots for the Board of Adjustment ETJ vacancy. I'm sorry?
We count Boyd.
Oh, yes, thank you. I almost forgot about you. Sorry about that, Commissioner Boyette. Could you please show me your ballot from your in-town Board of Adjustment application?
I'm sorry, I held it up. I thought you saw it.
I did not. The screen was switched over on my laptop. Thank you. Okay, great.
I texted it to you also.
I got it. It's still the same results. Sorry about that. Benny Collins, John H. Boyette, and Terry L. Moore are still the appointed members of the in-town Board of Adjustment.
Struggle.
Okay. Commissioner Boyette, thank you. All right, so Kevin King is our ETJ Board of Adjustment appointee. Okay, now I'm going to pass out the Appearance Commission ballots. There are 3 vacancies for 3-year terms. Commissioner Boyette, if you can hear me, please don't vote for John H. Boyette or Terry L. Moore, as they have already been appointed to the in-town Board of Adjustment positions. Thank you, Commissioner Boyette. So the 3 Appearance Commission appointees are Nicole Bills, Daniel Jordan, and Jose Fuentes. And I will see you guys at the next meeting for the Parks and Rec and the Tree Board.
Item 6B is a motion on R7 conditional district for property located at 1425 Eagle Rock Road, continued from the May 26, 2020 Town Board meeting. I'm going to hear from Assistant Planning Director Brian Coates.
Yeah, just quickly.
Good evening. The first item, as the mayor said, I'm Brian Coates, Assistant Planning Director for the town of Wendell. The first item for you was from a public hearing that was held on Tuesday, May 26th. It's to create a proposed conditional district, R7, Eagle Rock Road. The project consists of 82 homes, 90 townhomes. It's located about a mile north of Wendell Falls Parkway. On Eagle Rock. It is consistent with the comp plan, and it's a place where we expect moderate intensity new development with some housing options. I can field any questions that you may have as well.
Have any of the conditions been changed?
Not at this time, no. There's, yeah. So the applicant has agreed to not build a stub street and put 20 foot of buffer. That would leave, they would dedicate the right-of-way but would not construct it if you guys agreed to that condition.
And that was a result of a citizen
It was
concern, kind of?
Yeah, request made.
Request,
Yeah.
Brian, Commissioner Tarnaski and I spoke with one of the neighbors in this after the last meeting, and I understand that was the request, was to get rid of the stub. What is the effect of that when future development occurs? Who then is on the hook for?
So the 20 foot, the street right-of-way would be there, but 20 feet of pavement would not be constructed by this developer. Most likely it would be us as a town to go back in and finish that in the future when that property to the north develops.
There's one other question, and maybe you guys have seen this in other places. The conversation that we were having was, hey, you don't not want them to build a stub because plans and whatnot, with the possibility of putting a buffer, maybe not one that's routinely in our code, but a buffer that would satisfy those folks, like a Leland cypress at the end of the stubs, and you get both. It's a temporary-ish tree, but you'd get the infrastructure without the line, because of the concerns that I heard were all mostly line of sight, not so much noise.
So our current UDO states that the stub road go to the property line. So we would have to make some kind of, you all and the developer would have to make some kind of, the road gets built to maybe 4 feet from the property line, and then it would have to be some trees. I think the applicant's probably willing to do that, but that would be, because our code says to the property line, and so.
So my fear is that I feel like the person that at least was making the request that I heard was line of sight and actual being able to see and headlights turning out from the call last time. So while I appreciate getting rid of the stub street, that won't solve the problem if it's just going to end shorter. I think that he thought his problem was with the stub street, and it was actually line of sight that will be enhanced by a stub street.
Give me one moment to text the applicant.
Absolutely.
Is that fair, Commissioner Tarnaski?
Excellent.
And kind of like the other subdivisions, maybe even just put the street there, but just put a privacy fence, and then when they decide to build it, just take the fence down. Like on Old Zebulon Road, they're gonna do a privacy fence and shrubs.
But that is on the rear of the back of the property, not on a stub, not at the end of a stub, but I can check. Brian Duncan, can you hear the discussion?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear.
Would you all be amendable to build the stub to, let's say, a few feet before the property line and then put a row of like Leland cypress trees or some kind of other shrubbery?
Yes, absolutely.
Is that sufficient for council?
That's sufficient based on my conversation last week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you
you, Brian.
And then Brian, just make sure I'm 100% clear. It is, this is Commissioner Luther talking. It is the stub road the closest towards Eagle Rock Road. I think there's two of them. It's not the one furthest east, but west, correct?
Correct,
Okay.
yes. It is what we now call Nelson Hops Court is what the official, you'll see in their, I have their email.
Okay,
That they make reference to that future street.
the official name, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Madam Mayor, I don't have any other questions. I appreciate the development coming in the way that it has, and the only citizen concern that I think I was aware of previous to this has been addressed at this point. And I know that there were several of us that wanted to see that addressed. I appreciate it being addressed, and I'll make a motion that we approve what you can't see is that the screen that has the words disappeared right about the time I said motion. So, I'd move the approval of the item.
So we have a motion to approve the R7 conditional district. Is there any discussion on the motion?
And that is to include the additional condition of,
Yes.
we just discussed. Okay,
Add, okay.
make sure that was on the record.
Yes. Any other discussion? All right, Commissioner Joyner,
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach,
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz,
Aye.
Commissioner Tarnasky,
Aye.
and Commissioner Boyette.
Aye.
All right. All right, item 6C is a motion on a non-contiguous annexation for one parcel totaling 38.99 acres located at 1425 Eagle Rock Road, continued from the May 26, 2020 Town Board meeting. Mr. Coates again.
Yes, good evening. This annexation is for the property that you just recently approved the rezoning for, so the property is currently in our ETJ. They have request annexation as they want to connect to utilities. The clerk has certified the sufficiency of the petition, and so we're recommending that you approve annexation.
Any questions from the board?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the non-contiguous annexation for 1425 Eagle Rock Road.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the non-contiguous annexation for 1425 Eagle Rock Road. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, Commissioner Joyner,
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach,
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz,
Aye.
Commissioner Tarnasky,
Aye.
and Commissioner Boyette.
Aye.
All right, thank y'all. Item 6D is a motion on the zoning text amendment to sections 2.3, 3.3, and 19.3 of the UDO to create a new nursery and garden center use, continued from the May 26, 2020 Town Board meeting. Mr. Coates.
Yep. So this was an item from the previous meeting as well. Currently, the UDO does not have a nursery garden center classification. Staff's recommending approval. Planning Board recommended approval at their previous meeting as well. And I can field any questions that you may have.
Any questions from the board?
Nope. Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the zoning text amendment.
We have a motion to approve the zoning text amendment. Is there any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Joyner,
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach,
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz,
Aye.
Commissioner Tarnasky,
Aye.
Commissioner Boyette.
Aye.
All right. Item 6E is a motion on the zoning text amendment to section 15.13 of the UDO as it relates to the approval process for final development plans continued from the May 26, 2020 Town Board meeting. Mr. Coates?
Yes, so this item is from public hearing last month as well. It is to amend the text in 15.13 of the UDO, which relates to the process for final development plans. The UDO currently states after TRC has approved construction drawings, which we refer to as the final plan, the item has to go back to Planning Board for approval. We as staff feel there's enough procedures in place to catch any changes and make them come back before you all or the planning board before that happens. It just lengthens the process for development that is the exact same as what was proposed in the preliminary plan. So staff is proposing to remove that final step if development comes in exactly the way it did in the preliminary plan. And there's plenty of criteria in the UDO that it has to come back to you if they add land to the district or they remove it, they change any of the design criterias, they add a new street or anything like that, it already has to come back to planning board and you all for approval. So those already have to come back to you, so.
All right, does anybody have any questions from the board?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the zoning text amendment to section 1513 of the UDO.
All right, we have a motion to approve the zoning text amendment. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, Commissioner Joyner.
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach.
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz.
Aye.
Commissioner Tarnasky.
Aye.
Commissioner Boyette.
Aye.
All right, item 6F is a downtown facade grant request for improvements to number 5 North Main Street.
So the request before you this evening is consideration of the downtown facade grant request for 5 North Main Street in the amount of up to $10,000, $5,000 of which would come out of this year's remaining 2020 budget, $5,000 would come out of next year's 2021 budget. On April 24th, 2020, staff received an application from Sigurd Westerlin, the owner of 5 North Main, for the downtown facade program. 5 North Main, if you notice in some aerial images, it fronts on various streets, including 3rd, Main, and has access on Tobacco Alley. So it's a very visible building in the downtown. The application includes improvements to create a side and rear yard patio, installation of railings, lighting, and other things to enhance the outdoor area that's currently a gravel parking area that greets people when they come into downtown. So this application is requesting up to $10,000 to create this patio outdoor dining area for their project. There's some estimates, roughly the estimate's a little over $26,000. It includes site work, masonry products, railings, privacy screening equipment, and electrical conduit. Decision factors are given to extra consideration for facades in areas that are really noticeable and can enhance the downtown. Staff feels that this is a very valuable building to get some facade work done on because it does front onto various streets. The applicant is considering a mural as part of a different, not asking for this at this time, but a mural on the large wall there that faces 3rd Street. And the applicant recently renovated 1 North Main Street. We are asking money from 2 different budgets as we still have money left in this year's budget, so we're trying to maximize, and we'll still have money, if this gets approved, we'll still have money for another project or 2 for other buildings. The item did go to the Appearance Commission on June 3rd. They did not have a quorum, but the 3 that were in attendance were very supportive and thought this was a good project, very visible in the downtown. I can field any questions that you may have as well.
Any questions from the board?
I have one question. Commissioner Lutz here. I'm assuming the town has received some sort of actually official quotes on the project. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, we have some quotes, yep.
Okay.
I have one comment. Commissioner Deloach, just to confirm, there would be additional funds available after this project, you said, for other projects?
Yes, so the request is to use the remaining $5,000 that we still have in this year's budget, and then take 5 out of the 10,000 that we have for fiscal year 21. So there would still be an additional 5,000 for other project or 2
For
fiscal year 21, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
Brian, can you speak to the permanency of these improvements? Historically, the board has taken positions based on how long the improvements last. Just seeing the general description, I didn't understand.
Yes, so the conduit would be there for lighting and other improvements. The patio itself would be raised, built with wrought iron and steel and concrete, so it's a permanent structure. It's not.
That answers my
Yeah.
question. Thank you.
Anything else?
And then, I'm sorry, and just again, this is the building that is directly next to, door to 1 North Main, is that correct?
It is correct.
Okay.
And it forms like an L shape. If you're looking at it on Main Street, it goes west and then pops out on 3rd Street.
Then back around.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's an
The
L shape.
perception is that the improvements would kind of be behind it and visible from 3rd Street.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Does that help any,
It would
Yeah,
be.
yeah, I'm trying to visualize exactly what they're doing here, and that,
between them and Agave?
yeah, okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
If that helps, yeah.
Yes.
I was kind of looking more at the front, thinking,
Yeah.
what are they doing out there, really, that's, okay, it helps.
I asked the same thing. All right. Any other questions or comments?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the downtown facade grant for 5 North Main Street.
All right, we have a motion to approve the downtown facade grant request for 5 North Main Street. Is there any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Joyner?
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach?
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz?
Aye.
Commissioner Tarnaski?
Aye.
Commissioner Boyette?
Aye.
Item 6G is contract for billing services for solid waste fees between the town of Wendell and the city of Raleigh. I'm hear from the town manager. Mr. Collins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the town has had an agreement with the city of Raleigh to bill for our solid waste services, solid waste fee, in addition to our water and sewer fees that are collected by them from the merger. The original agreement did not provide for a mechanism for that cost collection, the charge for the billing to increase over time. So Raleigh has been a good partner in that 25 cents, if you think about the cost of a stamp, that might have covered that billing back then, does not cover that. Their billing system is what's called an internal service fund. It's a separate unit within the city of Raleigh that sends charges to water and sewer. They send it to STORMWATER, and they send it to for solid waste. And so these charges all come back to city of Raleigh, and then they try and cost recover for that internal service fund. The cost to the utility system from that internal service fund has gone up based on a cost analysis. When they received that study results back, they asked for a meeting of the affected municipalities that also participate in the billing agreement, Knightdale, Wendell, and Zebulon, and told them what cost was being passed on to them, and they asked to work with the towns to update the utility billing service agreements. So we conveyed our thoughts and concerns into that, and then the town attorney and the city of Raleigh attorneys took over for the final language. So there's no actual increase to charges that the residents see. This is part of the fee that they pay for their solid waste fee. It is covered within that cost that's not increasing in the coming budget year. But it does increase from what's billed to the town from City of Raleigh in FY21 from 25 cents per account billing to 50 cents. If we were to try and bring that service in-house or outsource it to another entity, it would cost more than 50 cents per bill. So staff is recommending, and thanks to the town attorney for his work, and I'd be happy to answer any questions y'all may have.
Any questions for the manager, the board?
Mark, does this address it for until 2036?
Correct. There is a provision in here for the cost to increase after City of Raleigh conducts an internal service study, so we won't have to come back repeatedly to all the different jurisdictions and update. The actual cost is reviewed with us and then increased in the proposed contract. But they do have to conduct a study to show us where that cost increase would come from.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to authorize the town manager to execute a contract for billing services between the town of Raleigh and, the town of Wendell and the city of Raleigh for solid waste fees.
All right, we have a motion to authorize the manager to enter into a contract for billing services for solid waste fees between the town of Wendell and the city of Raleigh. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, Commissioner Joyner?
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach?
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz?
Aye.
Commissioner Tornaski?
Aye.
And Commissioner Boyette?
Aye.
All right. Item 6H is to designate a board member for design services selection, to serve on the design services selection committee. Hear from the manager again.
So, exciting time. We have our request for qualifications out for design and engineering services to select a firm to design the town hall. The our owner's project manager, Cummings, has asked for a selection team to help for them to facilitate to select the firm to bring back to the commission for approval and request authorization to negotiate a contract at the end of the selection process. The team that's laid out to select and rank the firms would be comprised of the department heads that would be located in Town Hall, the department head that is responsible for maintenance of the facility after it's built, and then the public, the elected official, since one of the key components of the Town Hall will be also your council chambers. And so several weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago, I sent an email asking for y'all to think about, do you have a member to represent y'all on the selection committee? So this is your opportunity to discuss and formally notify us who you want to represent you on the selection committee. Again, pointing out for the public's benefit that this isn't the person that decides how the town hall is going to be designed. That happens by the whole community and the town organization after the consultant selected. This is just the purchasing and requisition process to select the consultant to do the work. The board still decides who that consultant is.
I believe Commissioner Boyette has expressed an interest in that. But did anyone else have an interest in serving in that position?
No, Madam Mayor, I was going to echo that. I think Commissioner Boyette, at least of our existing board members, has been the one banging the "we need a new town hall" gong the longest, and certainly is committed to the project.
Is that a motion?
Yes, ma'am, that is a motion.
Okay. I don't know if we need one for that or not, but we'll vote on it. Commissioner Joyner?
Aye.
Deloach? Commissioner Deloach, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Commissioner Luch?
Aye.
Commissioner Tornaski?
Aye.
And Commissioner Boyette?
Aye, and thank you.
All right. Thank you for your willingness to serve on that for us. All right, item number 7 is our other business. First one, 7A, update on town board committees by town board members. And we have one tonight, the Wendell Volunteer Fire Department Board of Directors, Commissioner Joyner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The last Wendell Fire Department Board of Directors meeting was fun because we're at the new station. It was great to see that new facility that's now there for Wendell, and very cool. Obviously not still open to the general public, so that was the board members' first time, and the volunteers just got to see it the week before, but a very nice facility. I also got to see that they have a very nice table in the center of what is the new Station 3, and when talking about this very nice table, I was made aware that Commissioner Boyette actually built the table for the new fire station. So when you get a chance to go by, tell them you want to see the table. It's a cool tribute to a new station and a really cool idea.
All right, thank you. Moving into our commissioners' comments, and stay with you, Commissioner Joyner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think that the past couple weeks have been the longest year in anyone's recent weeks. 2020 is certainly the gift that keeps on giving. And I want to say that we understand, or I personally want to say that we'd all like to say that we all understand, and we all like to say that we understand exactly how you feel, but I think the point of all of this is that we don't. I think the point of all of this is that if I understood exactly how you felt and you understand exactly how I felt, that we wouldn't have to communicate in a new way. And if we didn't have conflict, we wouldn't have to resolve them. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and there's a lot of pulls being pulled in different directions. I want to speak specifically to folks that are still dealing with the business impacts of COVID-19 that was the unexpected, and say, like, hey, we see you, and I understand that it hurts. I think right now we're seeing in our community a lot of changes, and it does at points it seems unfair, and at points the two good interests come to a head at a very high rate of speed, and then to speak to the Minneapolis situation. What I will say is that I had the fortunate life experience of growing up in Rocky Mount with a dad that was on the fire department, and I worked EMS. And then I went on, and I now represent clients from all across the spectrum in policy work. These problems aren't easy. That's why they're not solved. And everyone that is willing to come to the table has to come to the table. And those that are not willing to come to the table, eventually will see that everyone else is at the table. And when I don't know what else to say, that sometimes that's all you can do is commit to show up to the table. In that vein, my cell phone number is on the town website. There's a Facebook page that if you send a message to, my wife will get. You want to talk about any of these ideas, from reopening a business to what your interactions with the police department have been like, to what you hope to see future interactions look like, my cell phone number is on the town website, and I'm happy to meet you at the picnic table by the railroad tracks any day you like. We need to have those conversations. I certainly am, in my personal opinion, not qualified to tell us what they need to be or how to go about them, but I am eager to be a part of the conversation. With that, I have nothing further, Madam Mayor.
Commissioner Deloach.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to start with Garmin. We talked about it last time. They're going to have a parade in our neighborhood to celebrate Operation Coming Home. Sergeant First Class Ortiz family will be building a home in the Wendell Falls subdivision. There will be a parade to celebrate that tomorrow evening. That will begin at 7:30. So I know my family will be there to support. Just speaking off what Commissioner Joyner said, we got a lot of folks hurting. Last couple of weeks have been rough. We got a lot of neighbors, a lot of friends, a lot of family members, co-workers, clients, and they're hurting. And we need to listen to them. We need to speak to them, and we need to love them. And I'm proud of Wendell, and I'm proud of who we are and what we stand for. And the sense of community here is pretty amazing. And I'm proud to be here, but just take the time to listen to folks. Love them up, because love's going to get us through. There's a lot going on, and support your friends, support your neighbors, and just again, it's loving is doing the right thing. So that's what we do. We love. That's all, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Lutz,
No comments tonight.
Commissioner Tornaski.
Yes, good evening, Mayor. I'd like to thank all the employees of Wendell for all their hard work and making our community a great community to live in and work in and raise our families. And I especially like to thank our police force and department for keeping us safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Boyette.
Yes, Madam Mayor. I just want to take the night to focus on a little piece of good news and some good media coverage for the town of Wendell. I know this is normally the mayor's wheelhouse to point out such things as this, but on the front page of WRAL.com, underneath the WRAL at home, there's a very nice write-up about the Robertson Mill Pond Nature Preserve. It highlights Wendell in a very good light, and it points out one of the strong points that we have on this side of the county, which is our open space. It's pointed out as a great place to go and get exercise while maintaining your social distance. And overall, I thought it was a great write-up and a great way to point out some of the good things that we have going on this side of the county, and it's nice to be recognized. And I would encourage anyone to go out there. It's an absolutely beautiful place, and it is. I'm very happy that Wendell has so many great outdoor activities that we can enjoy when we aren't supposed to be around with so many other people. So I just wanted to point that out right on WRAL.com. Excellent article. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Very quickly, I want to remind everybody about our farmers market. It's on Saturdays from 9 to 1 in the downtown on Campin Street. And again, the vendors are going to vary from week to week. Some of them are cycling through our market as well as others, so they might be there one week and not the next and then back. So it gives you an opportunity to have a good variety, and I hope that you will come and visit. There may be something new there every time that you haven't seen before. I also want to congratulate all of the graduates, the 2020 East Wake High School graduates. They're graduating today and tomorrow in a modified ceremony that's taking place at the high school, and the modifications are causing it to take the bulk of 2 days to take place. I really want to thank the principal, Stacy Alston, and his group for making the best of a very unusual situation and doing as much as he can to make them feel special. They're still getting to walk across the stage individually. The music is playing. There's an opportunity for photographs. They're doing everything that they can. And it's an unusual year, and someday you'll be able to look back and say that you graduated during that time, and that's something unique to you. So congratulations to each of you. We expect great things from all of you. A quick reminder, I've been checking daily, and our COVID-19 numbers are still increasing slightly every single day, and the 27591 zip code, not by huge numbers, but they are increasing daily. And I just want to remind you that as things are beginning to open up, to not forget and not become too careless and forget to use the kinds of cautions and things that you need to do to be out in the world, especially those that are in high-risk groups. It's important to remain vigilant right now. And last, I feel like there's not enough that I can say about how difficult 2020 has been. And it has been very difficult so far. I'm deeply saddened by the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis, and others as well. But it's my hope that when we look back at 2020, maybe we're able to capture something from it that maybe we've learned that we didn't know before, and we can look back at it instead of as a terrible year, but maybe a great year of growth and grace. And we need to be giving each other more grace. And remember that as a society, no one is at their best right now. In any of the roles that they're playing, none of us are at our best, and we need to all give each other a tiny little bit of a pass on that. In the pursuance of our CALEA accreditation here, we have a lot of plans for our police department. We have a lot of plans to do a lot of things. I've received a bunch of emails about this from citizens. I've read every single one of them, and I've written responses and then decided they just weren't adequate. So I'm still working on it, and if you've emailed me, I will email you back. I'm just processing like everyone is. But I want to promise you that in Wendell, we've had a lot of conversations. We're taking a look at things. We've had several meetings, but it's been a part of those meetings, and it's my expectation that good things are in our future here. I'm not willing to accept anything less than that. So I echo the Commissioner Joyner. You know how to reach me, and please do. I welcome that, and anyone on this board welcomes that, and anyone in this town hall welcomes that. So please reach out if you feel like you have something you want to add. And there will be opportunities for that officially in the future as we go through the CALEA process. That's all I've got for tonight. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, we're adjourned.